Kolile, very good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. I don't know if you could hear or see what Slindelo there. She's in Tshwane. Some of the pictures coming through. You had people queuing up to visit one of the clinics in Tshwane. One lady saying it was a time for her appointment. Let's talk about health first when it comes to local government and municipalities. What are you doing? What have you put in place in order to ensure that you comply with the provisions of the Disaster Management Act?
Good morning, Tony. Good morning to all the ENCA viewers. Indeed, as local government, we're at work because we constitute the greatest part of the essential services functions. And if you look at our clinic facilities, our community halls, as well as the general provision of solid waste management, electricity, water provision, and so on, it is a key part of what we do daily as municipalities. So what you see in terms of clinic facilities, they have to be open to provide services support. And in terms of the regulations that have been issued by the Minister of Local Government, they provide a raft of provision around how municipalities should function during this period of managing COVID-19, what we need to do in terms of provision of shelter for those communities that find themselves in destitute conditions, and also for people who are on the streets to be taken off to sites of safety, and also work collaboratively with the Ministry of Health in terms of ensuring that sites identified as quarantine sites are indeed available, and we do administer all the protocols that are outlined in the regulations.
Have you identified any quarantine sites at all? Can you give us a couple of examples if you have?
There are many sites in metropolitan municipalities. I won't be able to throw the number to say this is the number because health administers the total number of sites that were declared. And even yesterday they were presented at the Joint Command Council, which we sit as SALGA. And indeed, many of our municipalities are availing whatever form of facilities that meet those standard protocols.
Okay, now one of the key things that we're seeing, even just from that report with Slindelo, is restrictions on movement of people as well. Are you able to ensure that those restrictions are adhered to as municipalities?
What we have done on Saturday, Tony, we have issued directives in terms of advisory from the President of SALGA to all the mayors to take a leading front in terms of deepening awareness at community levels, but also ensure that where there is transgressions of the current regulations that have been communicated widely, mayors and councillors and municipal managers, they take a lead to ensure that law enforcement are sensitized to make sure that we don't allow any room for people not to adhere to this. So it's a couple of balance in terms of deepening awareness, but at the same time, whenever there's visible transgressions, we expect local government to act decisively to refer those to law enforcement. And
now, one of the things is after every election, people always complain, okay, that's it, I'll never see the councillor again. Are your councillors, or have they been, or before the actual lockdown, did they go out and speak to the communities that they represent?
We have seen yesterday, since Friday, I'll give you examples in many of our towns, metropolitan municipalities. You would have seen Buffalo City, you would have seen Cape Town, you would have seen Mayor of eThekwini and Johannesburg, and many of our rural municipalities in the Eastern Cape. Mayors are indeed taking a lead and covering all forms of enforcement, but also in areas where our facilities have to be ready to receive communities in terms of the health protocols and any other standards. They are indeed playing a leading front in that.
And just lastly there, Kolile, we've seen issues with the water. You said you would provide water tanks. Is that taking place?
There's about 41,000 water tanks that the Minister of Water and Sanitation has ensured that they must be provided. So at a municipal level, we are meeting daily in terms of the National Command of Water, led by the Ministry of Water and Sanitation, to make sure that across the country, those communities where there is no water, indeed these are provided. So there's a breakdown across all provinces where there is allocation of water tanks, and also provision of the same is actually happening.
All right, thank you so much. Good to talk to you. That's the CEO of the South African Local Government Association, Xolile George, just talking to us about the readiness of all the municipalities in the country to tackle this COVID-19 pandemic.